All right. Warm welcome. It's nice to see you guys. Recognize the names and the faces. How wonderful. So with this session, I really want you guys get comfortable when a pregnant woman enters your regular class. Yeah. In my experience, when we have regular classes and then suddenly there's a pregnant woman walking in, we're not always in the greatest confidence, which creates kind of an invitation to the pregnant woman. And I really want to make sure we are covered so that when a pregnant woman walks into class, yes, we can actually walk towards her and we're kind of excited that she's here. So what's very important whenever you have a pregnant woman coming into class, you welcome her, let her know she's welcome, and ask her how far she's along and if there's anything you need to know. If you're not sure if that person is actually pregnant, you can catch them by mentioning, if anyone in class is pregnant, please let me know by chance. And they can give them a chance to let you know kind of in an intimate kind of frame. Does that make sense? Yeah, so they don't have to hold up their hand and tell in front of everybody if they potentially don't want to. But sometimes you got to be careful assuming that people are pregnant. So we either know it for sure or they have us tell us. Be careful with the assumptions. So once we know they come to regular class, they're whatever week pregnant they mention, anywhere between 13, 14 weeks typically, and 40 or 42 weeks. Yeah, those are the options. Because first trimester, which is the first 3 months of pregnancy, usually we don't know they're pregnant and they don't communicate it yet. Okay, so we're really looking at catering to second trimester, so 4th, 5th, 6th month, and 7th, 8th, 9th month. Okay, so the last 6 months of pregnancy. And the first 3 months are really, it's almost coincidence if you happen to know it. And also they for sure don't want to have it pointed out. All right, so they're welcome in the regular class. Now, if whatever they have practiced before, as a general rule of thumb, yeah, whatever they have practiced before, they can continue practicing with some of the modification we'll look at, of course. Yeah. If they're newer to the practice and you plan on teaching headstand in this particular class, you're not gonna have them practice it. Does that make sense? So if they have not practiced handstand, headstand, whatever it is you're offering, yeah, the pregnancy is not the time to start it, advanced poses or deep back bends. But if they have practiced it before, typically they're good to go. So we would first look at the simple set of the modification of pregnant women in regular classes, which means there's not so much specific. It's just a few rules, right? And then we practice. And then we practice also a modified way of sun saluting. Make sure you have room for Q&As, question and answers. And then we also look at some of more specific things because there's always more. That's why Poonam and me are going to be offering the 45-hour pre-postnatal, because once you start knowing a few things, typically you're like, okay, so there's more to that, right? But for now, I just want to have you covered so you know what to do with a pregnant woman in class, regular class. Okay, cool. Any questions so far? You good? Good. Okay, just making sure I have everyone seen. Wonderful. So now for the practice session, I'm going to talk as we practice, and it's up to you if you want your camera on or not. It's nice for me to be able to see you. However, I always pin my picture taller for the recording, so it's easier to keep track visually. Okay. So one thing I told you guys to prepare is to bring 2 blocks and the blanket. And this is kind of the minimum setup you want to have. And that's very convenient to have. And typically you have it available in every studio, which is, 2 blocks of the same size and a blanket to use in different ways, but for now we'll put it on top. Okay. So with that set up, you can cater to any pregnant woman at any stage in class. It's really nice. So the pregnant woman is coming in your class and you're like, oh, so nice you're here. How far along are you? Is there anything I need to know? And she says, no, I'm good. Actually, it's going very well. I'm 30 weeks along. And then you're like, well, do you know what you're looking for or what to modify? And she's like, not sure. Okay. So one thing we want to make sure, I'm going to first demo it and then we practice it, is that we tell her to avoid abdominal compression. Avoiding abdominal compression means basically that my twists, if I'm doing twists in irregular classes, which are called closed twists, which creates a compression on the abdomen, I tell them always do it open. Open means I have the space for the belly. So there's really lots of room. I can take my bottom hand out and I can even open the top hand. So I have lots of space. Okay. Some people also consider open doing it this way, which is theoretically an option, but it's not the most optimal in terms of joint congruency, in terms of symmetry. Okay, we'll look at I will mention the principles in the second part. I don't want to confuse you too much, someone jumping in, so I just have to admit. Yeah, good. So we modify twists into open twists at all times. And we avoid abdominal compression using the direct abdominal muscles. That means in chaturanga, we take the knees down. Okay. If with the group, I'm doing regular core exercises that use crunch-like movements, you don't do them. A nice way out is always to go into side openers. So if the group is doing something you can do, like direct core exercises, then you can always find a way of opening the sides. That's very welcoming to create a space in a pregnant body. Yeah, opening the diaphragm, finding a little C curve, even looking down. And that you can do from almost all positions. Okay. So we covered no abdominal compression, which means no closed twist, no direct abdominals. However, there's one abdominal muscle they can use, and that's the transverse abdominis. This muscle I actually want them to use, right? Which is when I'm on all four and I'm just hugging the belly in, or in other words, I'm just bringing the baby a little closer. That's my deepest core muscle. And that one is good to use, and I actually want them to use it. Okay.
What's the name of this muscle?
The one they're allowed and supposed to use is the transverse abdominis.
Transverse.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. Good. And then I very quickly show them that setup as well, because there's one more thing that when we're on our backs, I want them to avoid laying flat. Why do I want them to avoid laying flat? So first of all, when I come on my back, I always want to have them move over the side. Okay. Not like that, because that would mean I use the direct core muscles. So I want them to go over the side. And then when I'm flat on my back, let's say I'm here, there's a certain weight of the uterus and the baby growing within that presses on a certain structure. Have you guys heard of this one? No? That's good. That's why we're here, right? So it's called the vena cava syndrome. Yeah. And you have the vena cava going through the right side of the body. Now with the baby growing and the uterus getting to a certain weight at 4th month of pregnancy, when we lay flat, there's a potential risk that the weight of the uterus reduces circulation to the fetus. Okay, that's why we say in pregnancy, we do Shavasana on, you guys have heard of this? On which side? Yeah, we're doing it on the left. Yeah, so we do Shavasana on the left. Or if I'm longer supine, I need to modify that. Okay, so if I'm longer on my back, and let's say I'm working dynamically, no problem, okay? If the woman or the class is moving, absolutely no problem. However, if I'm laying flat for a long time, or I'm working here, whatever I'm planning on doing, I want the pregnant woman to modify. And one way to modify it super efficiently is to use the blanket, and I'll usually do that from the beginning. So you have a nice thick blanket and form that, shape that hand width. And you basically just place that underneath her thoracic spine. So I'll leave my lumbar spine out. So her head is elevated in ratio to her uterus. So in this position, it doesn't take much. 5 degrees, they say it's enough. Optimizes circulation. And then whatever you do with the group, you know, she can continue doing here, or perhaps open twist, and she can still keep practicing while the group is static supine. For Shavasana, I'm gonna wanna have her on her left. Okay, we'll do that and practice that with the legs supported or in an elevated position. So I can use my setup, or I can put that a little higher. So if you're longer there, I would bring it up a little. So I have her, of course, the bolster works too. Yeah. So I have her in a nice resting position, supine, where circulation is optimal. Okay. So you see, it quickly becomes a lot of information. Yeah, but we're really breaking it down. I will also send you a follow-up video on top that I have on YouTube. So we want to avoid closed twist, direct abdominal pressure, and we modify the supine position. Yeah. You guys have any question on the, you know, first aid of pregnant women in regular classes? Hi, yeah, you good? Yeah, so let's get to practice. We'll actually move slowly through those modifications, and then we'll also add the modified hand salutation, which is a really nice way of to know, a nice hand salutation to know. I see a few guys. I see you guys now. Hi, Cecilia. Yeah. Nice to see you. Yeah. To have in your pocket. However, I wouldn't expect you to like deliver that in the regular classes, right? You just want to make sure she's safe in whatever you offer, and she has her safety measures and her options. But then this is then already an add-on. Okay. Okay. So let's move it. You guys, I notice you peeking. You see all the images here, right? Yeah. My husband's photographer, and we're having an exhibition next week. So we're just getting them all ready. I'll send you an invite. Okay. Good. So let's get on our mat. And we're gonna take these 2 blocks and we fold our blanket or whatever you have today to improvise, no pressure. Yeah. And I have this one in a hand width flat line. So it's ready also for the supine position. And I place that on top. Of course, depending on the belly size, we make it higher or lower. You will see in a second, but one after the other. Good. So we get on the mat and find first an all 4 position. And just also give ourselves a moment to arrive where we just place the hands outer shoulder width apart, get our knees, and let's just take a dynamic cat-cow for a moment to, also feel the body. And we remember to listen to what feels right and what doesn't. Very important to encourage the pregnant women, everybody in the end, right? To listen to their body and take breaks when they need it. And then we're just gonna go through these modifications we just talked about. So from here, I'm gonna have you root your sitting bones back and find a downward facing dog. Take a moment to lengthen the back of your legs. And in pregnancy, and I really want you to try this one, like if you stand quite narrow, you notice there's a limitation of space in your lower body. So one thing we encourage is the first principle, which I will come to after again, which is space. And the space I'm inviting basically by creating a wider foundation. So go as wide as you need to really make the space in your pelvis to find solid anchoring through the legs as you regularly deeply breathe. Then we're going to take the left leg forward. So already you notice like, okay, if there's a belly, you will have to take the leg more through the outside. Typically we do that, but if you don't see someone do that, let them know. Just take your legs to the outside or let it help with the hand. Take your back knee down and then take a low lunge, right arm up. Inhale, breath. And this is the first thing we show, right? We do open twist. So if you, for now, considering you're not pregnant, go into a closed twist, you feel, I'm just gonna admit one more student, keep moving. You feel that it's tight in the abdomen, right? Like this, we constrict the space. So that's what we don't want. So come back, inhale, lift the right arm, and then just place it to the outside of your right mat. And then inhale, breath, lift your left arm up. Yeah, so this is considered an open twist. The belly is still facing forward, and what's twisting, what's opening is actually the thoracic spine, the upper back, and the shoulder, which feels really good to have that opening. Yeah. Feeling that? So that's what we show. This is the open twist. And then slowly come back, move your left foot back, switch legs. And of course, want to have you do both sides. Let's just also get a bit of benefit of practicing. First left arm up. And then you feel the limitation, the constriction, the not so inviting movement of life in the body. So we're going to make this twist open, and that's what we show. Just take a wide base so you can create a space in the body. As you take your right arm up, you can also look down. Good. Taking the right foot back. Let's move back into downward facing dog. So hug your belly just enough to feel that support in the lower abdomen, and that's the transverse structure we want to actually encourage. We don't want them to hang in the structure. because it's really strength over flexibility. So keeping the baby nice and close to the spine, we're gonna sit back and take a downward facing dog. Practice so you can see everything with a bit of wider stance. So space is our first principle. Strength is our second. And stability, our third. I'll come to that one more time. Now moving into the sun salutation, I'm going to take my feet forward as I take my hand on my setup for Ardha Uttanasana. Yeah. So feet underneath the hips, a little wider. Inhale, this is Ardha Uttanasana. And as I exhale, I bend my knee for a squat. I can take my hand onto the thighs and I come into a standing position. Okay. So we should all be standing at the end of the mat now. Okay. And that's the modified sun salutation for pregnant women, which we're going to practice now a couple times. So standing at the end of the mat, inhale, we're going to take the arms up and find a solid grounding through the legs as the belly, okay, hugs in a little. Yeah, keeping that baby close and the low back supported. As we exhale, bend the knees, take your hands onto your thighs, squat, nice leg strengthener. And then with the inhale, walk into Ardha Uttanasana. So inhale. Now, as we exhale, we keep walking. Yeah, we keep walking forward for downward facing dog. Okay. Coming on all four, we lower down the knees behind our setup. And we want to make sure as we lower, we're going to slowly lower that the baby stays close, but also that we're going to hit the upper thigh on that setup. So the belly has actually space because of it. Here, I'm going to take just a baby, more communicated as a Shalambhasana, as a cobra, because I don't want them to go into a deep back bend right away until they really learn to integrate the belly. Lower down the knees, tuck the toes, and then exhale with strong arms and support. We come back into downward facing dog. Beautiful. Yeah. Good. With the inhale breath, walk your arms back and your feet underneath your hips. This is Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, squat, bend your knees. And take your arms directly or over your thighs up into the sky. And then back to standing. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. Inhale, breath, arms up. And the nice thing here is exhale, lower down. And slower. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, down dog. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. From the down dog, lower your knees down. Inhale, look forward. And then exhale, like a knee on the ground, chaturanga, slowly lower down. So what's really nice is that you're actually staying in the same rhythm than a regular sun salutation. Inhale, think of baby cobra or Shalambhasana. So keeping the belly integrated is really challenging for pregnant women, but they can and they have to learn it. And then exhale, lower down the knees as you push back, hips over the heels into downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. So we're walking back and the feet come underneath the hips in a night-wise base. And then exhale, bend your knees and take your hands over to the thighs. Inhale, reaching the arms, press down. And then hands together. Yeah. Let's do it one more time, okay? Inhale, breath, arms up. Exhale, lower. You can keep the arms up too if you can support your back here through your deep abdominal transverse abdominis. Inhale, walk forward, Ardha Uttanasana. You can notice the belly always has space. And then exhale, downward dog. Keep walking forward, feet step slightly back. Coming on all four, inhale, breath. Look forward, hug your belly in and lower down, exhale. Now all this transverse work So the setup is at the upper thigh, yeah, almost touching the pubic bone a little. Take a baby cobra here as you keep the belly close. And then lower your knees, lift the shoulders, hug your belly, and press back. This time, stay on your knees as you just rest your forehead. This is really nice. You can take your knees a little wider, considering you're actually pregnant, and just rest your upper arm and the forehead. Tuck or untuck the feet. Okay. So stay for a moment as you just breathe and kind of imagine that space creating practice, returning the sun salutation from front to back, the other way from back to front. So there's no abdominal compression. And then moving onto all four, we take a nice side stretch to just show the options we have when the class works, you know, core or stuff the pregnant women are not benefiting from. Then what's always nice to do, if you move your right foot to the right, left foot to the end, inhale, left arm up, yeah, is to move into side openers. And from all four, this is a really nice side openers we can bring in or show them as a modification option. You can look down, actually see, curve the spine a little, hug the belly in and really breathe into the kidneys, lengthening the low back, grounding through the tail. Now let's switch sides. So if in doubt, just give them a side stretch. Yeah, works from all positions. Also here, bring in a little C curve in, like there's a nice connection from mother to fetus. Bring the baby close, breathing underneath the wings, the shoulder blade, the kidneys, and then slowly back. Bring your knees all the way together. And when you're sitting, about this time, lower your seat to the right. Yeah, hope you can see me here. Yeah. So also from a seated position, we can add a nice side stretch, either with the legs together, which keeps it nice and safe for the sacrum. Yeah, lifting the right arm up, take a side stretch. It's nice either way, right? Pregnant or not. But it allows for extra space when the growing life requires more room. And then switching sides, you can squeeze your knees as you switch sides. Inhale, breath. Even looking to the belly is a nice remedial action of creating transverse connection. Yeah. Supporting the low back, supporting the sacrotuberal ligaments. And then coming back. This is just an option to move. Now, I want us to go down on the floor like we were, how we do it when we're pregnant. So we're gonna just remove the block or whatever improvisation you got right now and position the setup the long way, okay? Now from here, my lower back's gonna be free. I'm just move to the side, and I'm very strict with this one for very good reasons. I want them to move over the side, especially, I'll explain in a moment. So always come through the sides down, and then just find yourself on that narrow setup for a moment with the lower back completely free, lower back tucked and long. And then you can even make a nice little curl into your cervical spine. So the neck is supported. Yeah. And just feel that for a moment. You can open your chest, noticing, oh yeah, it actually helps the opening of the upper body, but the pelvis is clearly lower. Yeah. So that will prevent vena cava syndrome. And you can work here, let's say we do windshield wipers, keeping the feet outer pelvis apart, and you just lower the knees from side to side. So there's some work you can do, supine, or just doing Supta Padangustasana, which, you know, you may need to strap quite soon here, depending on the abdominal size. For now, you just grab the back of your thigh, stretch the right leg up, shoulders back, extend the bottom knee. So the group is working on their back, and your pregnant student can still continue with them. Yeah. Or take one more breath as you ground your shoulder, extend the top and the bottom leg, and then switch sides. Here, first bend the top knee, bring your left knee in, close, and then extend the bottom leg. Yeah. We can grab the back leg right now and actually even give a nice grounding pull through the thigh into the floor as we extend this out. And encourage alignment to support the body really optimally through that strong transitional phase of pregnancy, keeping the structure strong and supported. Really breathe alongside all the way through the back of the neck. Grounding the thigh, extending both legs. And then slowly bend the top knee. So you would be okay here for Shavasana. However, if not elevated enough, I recommend you offer them Shavasana on the left side. Now let's actually do that. I have to switch sides quickly. But this time, we're just gonna lay on our left side. Yeah. And the blanket, you notice if you put your leg on top, it's a bit low now. So I'll use my blocks to elevate that, because I want the top thigh to be positioned in line with the top hip. So on our left, we prop bottom leg straight, top leg bent, and I prop it nice and high. So the knee is leveled with the hip. That just makes for a nice resting position of the SI joint for the pelvis. And then if you have extra blankets, you support the neck. Yeah. And if you imagine your belly is, the abdomen is more open, you may feel how the bottom waist is kind of tractioning towards the floor. So even there, sometimes it feels nice in advanced pregnancy to support the side of the belly and lift it up a little, so the spine actually stays straight as opposed to hanging through like a hanging bridge. Okay, so take your hand on your belly for a moment. Foot is supported, and just rest here on your left as we create a optimal position, optimal circumstances for the mother and child to be nurtured and growing and supported. I will add to this that the vena cava syndrome, yeah, it's an absolute precaution. So I'll give you the example from my own pregnancy. And with Noah 10 years ago, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this. And I was perfectly fine supine. Like I was comfortable flat on my back with a big belly all the way to the end. In the second pregnancy with Suki Rose 6 years ago, I would turn nauseous the moment I was flat on my back. So the body has a good warning system. You know, you're not going to hurt that woman if she's flat on the back and you forget about it. Like she will notice first. But it's nice to know that precaution and inform the students, because it makes you very, gives you good credits. Yeah, and you offer her some information she benefits from. Okay. But that sometimes come up. How absolute is it? We recommend it because of the structural reality of the Vena Cava, to do Shavasana on the left to avoid supine flat positioning for too long. If someone says, but I feel perfectly fine, it's not your responsibility to change that, but you have informed them. Okay. So let's see. Everyone's coming back. Let's see if there's some questions to the first part of the input we have to pregnant students in regular classes. And we added the specific pregnancy sun salutation, kind of an add-on. If you get the time to demo it, wonderful, but one thing at a time. Yeah. If you have your pregnant student that you know coming to your class for 4 months, it's really beneficial if she knows it. But if you have a one-time drop-in, you may not get around to show her. So you guys, yes, please just speak.
Hello. So is it for the sun salutation? Is it for any stage of the pregnancy? Like from the very beginning on, it's this kind of modification of sun salutation that we do?
Yeah. So, I mean, in beginning of second trimester, when the belly is small, they will feel, especially if they're pregnant before, they may feel like, well, but I'm still fine. I can still fall forward to, they're probably going to say that. However, I want to create the mindfulness of creating space in the body and honoring the body in that stage of pregnancy. So I do teach it from the beginning.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, because you do have, if you do it regularly, right? If we fully think about the abdomen, like if I do it regularly, I have compression here, right? In Uttanasana, Ardha Uttanasana, and then I have it again going back. I don't have it. But then stepping forward, I have it again, right? And it's not that you're going to hurt the abdomen or the fetus in the 4th month, but it's going to quickly become critical. And I introduce it pretty much in the beginning. Yes, because I want them to really honor the space and create space in the body and breath and, everything else. Yeah.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Any other thoughts? How did it feel? Erika, go for it.
I don't have a question, but it felt good, the modification. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Yeah.
And the open twists, I like them.
Yes. All right. It's what's really nice in a regular class, it doesn't disturb the rhythm. It's actually the same rhythm. It's considering you're doing sun salutation A, perhaps B. It takes a little getting used to, right? For sure. It's kind of messing with your mind for a little bit in the very first moment, but it has great benefits. And the assumption that when we're pregnant, we've kind of just pushed to the restorative poses is not true, in the sense that your body actually demands strengthening and support of the structures and stability. And to be still practicing it in a way where you can still strengthen the body is very empowering, especially when there's the feeling of, I don't feel like I have energy or similar. Yeah. So if you're good, we will do some specific work, and I will talk about the principles a bit more deeply that I work with. Over the years, I just nailed it down to 3 or really 4 principles. to kind of memorize them easy and kind of, not be able to forget them. First principle is space, as you already heard it many times. So to create the room in the body, meaning the foundation starts to get wider. The very key principle, like we did it just now in the Sun salutation, is creating space, right? Like this is the first principle. We make room for the life on a physical level, but really we encourage the women to do it also on an energetic level and on a mental level. Yeah, it's going to require some space, that new being in your life. And then the second principle is strength, also for good reasons. Strength, because the estrogen in pregnancy is very powerful. So in the first trimester, your body is going to shift into 80 times the estrogen you usually have. And it's going to create a lot of relaxin hormone, which is loosening the structures in the body. So the ligaments get softer, the capsula gets softer, especially the passive structure in the body. They just kind of, they get softer so we can accommodate the space. And that requires the strength to support these structures, especially when they're flexible. Yeah, that's why key principle, second principle is strength, or in other words, strength over mobility. That would mean, for example, in a lunge, that, if I'm already an experienced yogi and I want to do my pose, like I have a belly, but I want to not change anything. And I usually do my, lunge here, right? I'm going to just ask them to do it a little smaller so they can really bring strength over mobility. They can still open it up, but I want to have them the ability to collect the body into the midline. Okay. And then third principle that I work with and that I teach also especially in the training, is the stability. And stability in the sense of not just the inner stability that we encourage in this strong time of transformation, but really the actual transverse abdominis. And this is such a plus to have. I'm going to use my sweater here. If you have this during pregnancy, it's going to be so easy to get it back after pregnancy as well. So you're basically preparing post as well. We can't forget that. So with the transverse muscle, it goes like horizontally around the waist, right? So when I hug, so I keep my natural curve in the low back, but I hug the belly towards the spine. Yeah, that's the deep core muscle that I want to strengthen. That feeling of bringing the baby a little closer. Yeah. The feeling of hugging the belly button to your spine. That sensation you're familiar with from Uddiyana Bandha. Yeah. That's the stability. Together, of course, in pregnancy specific classes, also very specific pelvic floor work that we're not going to get there today. Yeah. And then the fourth principle, yeah, is the fourth S, and it's the social and the sisterhood. And it basically relates to the village we start creating before the little ones get here, or the community aspect that we can enhance, especially offering pre and post in yoga classes and studios. So you guys ready to do a few moves on the wall? Yeah. So I picked the wall because I love doing wall practices, but I not only do wall practices, but I wanted to give some wall practices example. So we have an opportunity to look at those principles and feel them and strengthen them, use them, and to actually also see all the great things we can do in pregnancy specific classes. And all the things we do in pregnancy specific classes, I have to say, they really work for other classes too. So I have so many students that are doing the pre-postnatal training and they're like, oh my God, I love it. I'm actually doing the wall thing now with my, in the regular classes, or it doesn't have to be seniors, but they're really usable for all students. So starting with the wall squat, yeah, we're gonna get our feet. It's about 2 feet distance from the wall. And then you just bend your knees and rest your spine on the wall. And we set first principle space. So you want to create more opening the further along we go in pregnancy. Yeah. And then take your hands to the wall to just feel the curves of your body, which are gonna increase, especially the lumbar curve, as the belly grows. And with that space here and the strength you feel through the legs pushing in that squat into the ground, I want you to create now the third principle and hug your belly closer to your spine. So there's the lower curve, the lordotic spine in your low back is supported, okay? So inhale, let's take the arms up and keep that curve. You notice that if you don't hold it, it actually increases the curve. Yeah, so stabilize that. And then exhale, lower the arms shoulder width. Yeah, on shoulder height. Inhale, breath, we're gonna curl, look to the belly. And then exhale, plug your shoulders in. Good. Let's keep that and slide a little deeper. Okay. You got a rocky wall, so I'm not sliding, but I go deeper. Go ahead. Inhale, take your arms up, strong legs, push the earth away. Keep your spine long, feel the back of the head into the wall. Exhale, lower the arms. Very nice. Inhale, unplug the shoulders, round the upper back. And then exhale, plug in. Very nice. Lower the hands. So we're working the space, we're working the strength, we're working the stability. One more round, okay, a little bit lower. Yeah, it's called wall squat for a reason. And I will gradually build this in class as well. Inhale, arms up. Whew. Good. Exhale, lower the arms. Inhale. Keep breathing. Keep the flow going even as, or especially as things get a little harder. Inhale, lift the heart, lower the arms. Good. And then of course we could work some more, but for now we're gonna lean forward, push the wall and come up. All right. Okay. Really nice thing to do. Now have one block nearby and we're gonna take the legs wide, but we're gonna stay on the wall. So having about a foot distance from the wall, take a wide-legged stand. And then turn your right foot along the wall and bend the right knee. I'm just gonna place the ball there and take the right forearm to the thigh. So Parsvakonasana, extended side angle pose. Now I'm not leaning into the wall, but I have it there. So if I tilt, I'm safe. I'm not falling over. Good. Keep your sitting bones rooted back. Yeah, belly is facing to the ground, and then just bring your right thigh underneath as you lean back in the upper body. Good. Inhale, open the top arm and invite some of that thoracic opening. And then stretch your top arm over. Good. Parsvakonasana. You're welcome to also go deeper here. And you could do this like even with a 8-9 months belly. You could have that if the flexibility and strength allows. Take a big breath, extend through the back leg. Feel into the kidneys, so keep the belly close and then come up into warrior 2 and extend the front leg. Okay, beautiful. We're gonna go into Ardha Chandrasana, yeah? But first, I wanna bend the front knee one more time and place the block so it's underneath the shoulders, okay? From here, I'm gonna look down and slowly extend the front leg for Trikonasana. Yeah. Keep the legs really engaged and then lean back in the shoulder. I'm not touching the wall, but it's close. I could, however, if I wanted the support, I could get a bit closer. Inhale, reach your top arm up and then look forward and down. From here, press the top shoulder back as you squeeze the legs to the core and then grow a little longer through the spine. Beautiful. Ardha Chandrasana, maybe you want to look first. If this is not familiar on the wall, you can. Left hand to the hip. I'm going to step in a little and place the block underneath the shoulder and take an Ardha Chandrasana here with them on the wall. So there's no tipping over stuff because if they are, they just lean against the wall. Bend both knees for a moment to create the integration. And exhale, extend the leg, reach your top arm up. Push the back foot and an inhale breath, reach the top arm. And now let's do a really nice thing here. Allow the upper body to lean with gravity as you push the back leg. Yeah, without hyperextending your bottom knee. Good. You could even hook your top heel a little bit into the wall. Get a really nice opening here through the lower back. And then left hand to the hip. Super controlled, bend the right knee and step it back. Okay. It'd be a crime not to do the second side, right? So Parsvakonasana on the left. Okay. So just as we could use this to support the alignment in regular classes, I use it now as, a safety as well for grounding and orientation and avoidance of falling, of course. Yeah. Parsvakonasana. Yeah. Look forward for a moment, look towards the belly. So you get your right hip back and an inhale, open the top arm. Good. Full reach. Or full pose. Keeping the belly closed. You can imagine how easy it is to hyperextend the low back here, right? So keep it close. It's almost like you want to move the baby a little closer to the spine. And then we say we're going into Trikonasana. So left hand on the block, keep your spine long and extend the front leg. Turn your belly to the side. And also here, the grounding through the sacrum has to be clear. The belly button pops in. Right arm up, inhale, even stretch. You can look down or keeping the chin close. You can also look up. And then we're gonna go into our Ardha Chandrasana on the left. So right hand on the hip. Step it in first. Place the block underneath the shoulders, pretty close to the wall, basically on the wall, and step. Let's bend both knees for a moment, just to create the connection into the feet. And extend out as you reach your top arm up. Good. Option one, first open the belly. You can even lean back, see how that feels. And then option two, traction the upper body as you push strongly through both legs. Keep a little micro bend in the front knee. Yeah. Looks so cool with the light. Oh my God. Good. And then slowly step back. Awesome. Good. All right. So obviously there's way more, but just a little teaser of how we can use the wall to support the practice in very prenatal specific usage, but that really works for many, many applications. Do you guys have, I know it always adds up to be a lot, even if you really structure it. Do you guys have any questions regarding how to best serve pregnant students in regular classes I will actually send not just a recording as a follow-up, but also a video that will summarize it one more time. Okay, like a 5-minute YouTube video. Okay, awesome. Yeah. And then of course there's specific uses which we looked at the principles we work with in pregnancy specific classes that are really already kind of a preparation then also for post. We have Puram and me have some stuff lined up. We have so I teach a full 45-hour pre-post in German. I don't know who actually speaks German in this group. Yeah. Okay. Starting end of August with 4 online modules and then going into a 3-day full like live training at Annapurna in September. And then next year, this is not official yet, but we finalized it now. I'm going to have my teacher, Sue Elkind, coming from the US, and we offer together an 85-hour Yoga Alliance pre-postnatal training in English. And that's going to be 5 days in March with, preparation will be online components as well. But this is really new. We just had that organized, and Sue was my teacher when I had my son, and I felt lost in the guidance in practice, practice with pregnancy. Even being a physio and having that knowledge, I didn't have the tools or information around. I started hosting her for years. Like I started hosting Sue, offering these trainings, and yeah, and now she's coming back. It's a really cool moment to have her come and even make it happen at Annapurna now. So is there anything I can serve you guys with tonight? Do you feel like, yeah, I think I know what to do now when I have pregnant students in my classes? You feel empowered for that purpose? Yeah? Very good. Like that's yeah. So whatever they've done before, they can keep practicing. However, of course, I don't have them do kick up handstand in the middle of the room, right? Like even if they've done that before, then it will be elbows on the wall or in a supported way where they don't use all this abdominal engagement. And further, one thing I wanted to add earlier, why we are so strict on why we move over the side up and down, it's really also to avoid the splitting of the abdominal muscle, which when we use them, we actually enhance the rectus diastasis that almost always happens with childbearing, okay? But it happens in a kind of physiological way. But sometimes, and that was the case in my case as a, flexible yogi 11 years ago, like it splinted so far, it actually got out of control, and it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't using, if I would have known how to engage my transverse to support the structure more. Because if you think of these muscles that tend to split, right, through the abdominal pressure, that muscle actually holds it together, the transverse, So going into deep back bends and not being able to engage that can be very harming long-term in terms of how you overstretch these structures, and then you're dealing with low back instability and things like that. And there's very beautiful, super, like it makes all sense when you know it, right? Information to have and to know to serve women really ideally during this time. Yeah. Yes, please, love. It's okay.
Is there any pose that a pregnant person cannot do, is not supposed to do at all? Is there anything, or is everything to be modified? Like twisting, as I heard, yes. And but besides of that?
Yeah. So I could actually, I have to pull it up quickly. I wasn't planning on this, but I'm going to show you a list in my prenatal script. If you just spare me a moment to find it. So I'm going to share screen, okay? For 2 years of Zooming, make it all easy now. So in the script, this is the prenatal one. I have this list, and let's briefly look at it. Sorry, I have to get to it. I get to screen this. You get to screen the script. Where is it? There's the modification sunset. There we go. So it's in German. And there's asana specific don'ts in that sense, right? Which I think is what you mean. Yeah.
Yes.
So you want to avoid twisted, close twist, which we talked about. Jumping, I wouldn't recommend. And then we avoid long asymmetric, like I was giving the example of the lunge, right? You want to make sure you stay as symmetric as possible, especially in the SI region in the back of the pelvis. You want to avoid crunches. We talked about that. It'd be the same as using direct abdominal muscles. Same as the forward folds. It kind of all goes into just avoiding abdominal compression. Also arm balances that use a lot of abdominal engagement. So I was mentioning handstand. Of course, if you do it and they've done it before, they can do it. It's wonderful, but then do it on the wall where they can safely and slowly step up and safely and slowly step down. Same for. And then in back bends, you want to be careful to not overstretch. Let's say Urdhva Dhanurasana, right? Like if you're a very experienced yogi, or even if you are a very experienced yogi and fully aware of engaging your transfers, it's gonna be super difficult to hold that when you're advanced pregnant. Does that make sense? Like you would have to crunch so much to actually do it. It wouldn't actually feel good. And if you do it without engagement, you just run right into the risk of getting a nice wide open rectus diastasis, which is not fun to deal with after or even during. So that's why we say avoid deep back bends as a general rule. Avoid pigeons, same reason here. You just want to make sure they stay symmetric, and most people in a class have difficulties doing that. And then head and handstands, we only do on the wall. So we avoid any risk of falling. Yeah. Is that helpful, this list? Then
Very much.
Yes, awesome. And feel free to take screenshots, you guys. Pranayama as well. We do basically nothing that holds the breath. So all the kumbhakas, we let them rest outside for the next spring. We do deep regular breathing, lots of abdominal breathing. We can do Nadi Shodhana, of course. It's a beautiful way of balancing the left and right channel energies of the body. And we can do also, which is not mentioned in this list, Shitali breath, the cooling breath, but that's pretty much it. Like all the other practices, Kapalabhatis, which is an abdominal compression, Bastrika, Kumbhakas, we do not do during pregnancy. And then we were talking about the do's, right? And we said, well, we want to make sure they have space, strength, and stability. And basically that they adjust Shavasana on their left side. or with an elevated position. So you see, everything goes into more details, but like, and there's always more to know, but this is good to know. Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Perfect. Yeah. So I would suggest that we go into a nice resting position, either on our sides or elevated. And then once I guide you there, I'll turn the meeting off. And you can just stay or, take your notes or whatever. Unless there's any questions now, let's make sure we have them answered. Good. Was this helpful? Yeah?
Yes, thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. And if you have questions coming up, let me know. Hopefully there will always be more questions once we, know more. We know all the things we don't know, right? It's just the process of learning. But for now, let's get us one more time into either an elevated supine position or a Shavasana on the left. I'll let you choose. I'm going to do the elevated supine position. And this time, if you have a bolster, you could use the bolster. If you don't worry, you can use the blocks. And we position them flat. And then in the second way, and I'm going to position that setup that I have up the long way. Okay. So I have my nice elevation so that the circulation of the fetus, which is so beautiful, right? I mean, if you think about it, it's this balloon in our body that goes from this size, from 7 centimeters, and it just keeps growing. The uterus keeps growing all the way up underneath our diaphragm with the baby in it. And the baby is fully nourished through the navel cord that is attached to the placenta, and the placenta is attached to our uterus wall. So coming over the side, always come onto your backs, or if you prefer Shavasana on your left, please do so. Make sure you lift your seat one more time to have a nice space underneath the low back. And in position, if you need to, the blocks. So there's an opening through the chest, lengthening through the back of the neck. And you can extend your leg or keep them bent and rested, whatever feels better right now to your body. And for a moment, I want you to take your left hand on your belly, left hand on your chest, right hand on your belly. And regardless of, pregnancy or not, just feel your heartbeat. And then create a connection of your heartbeat nourishing something, heart project of yours, something you have your heart in. So that could be a growing life inside your body, but it could also be a project or an intention, something you want to nourish, and visualize this connection from your heart to the heart of the thing you want to grow. And just visualize that connection getting stronger and stronger with every breath, as you allow your body to relax and just let the intention nourish it. Let it happen, just like the grass grows by itself, or by allowing the focused energy to go there. We let it grow. Perhaps that connection gets a material, a thread, or perhaps it's a cord or some form of steel. Let it give it a color and a material. And honoring this life force within us that can nourish so many other life forms. And relax your hands to the sides, stick your shoulders back. Allow the information to settle. And create the space here. The mental space for it. Make room energetically. And we're just gonna give the system a chance to find its own homeostasis and balance. And I'm gonna turn the meeting off for you so you have your space now to continue practice or meditation or rest. Thank you so very much for your intention, everybody. Namaste. We'll get a follow-up, so we'll be in touch. Take care, you guys.